It should almost go without saying that whatever society we have, that society as a whole is going to tell people who have difficulty conforming that they, as individuals, are somehow defective, but thou shall never question the society as a whole. So what we have is a relationship between capitalism and so-called mental illness, but instead of saying capitalism is making people emotionally distressed, instead of saying capitalism is causing anxiety, capitalism is causing depression, instead of just blatantly saying capitalism is not providing for objective human needs, instead we have this whole thing of people who are mentally ill. How do we get them to conform? And we can have the same thing for adults and children. I think a lot of times it's broken up, but it's really the same thing. If you have a child who, for whatever reason, is not conforming to the social structure at school, that child is just said to have an emotional problem. They're mentally ill. If you have an adult who, for whatever reason, is not able to conform to the workplace structure or this whole system of you wake up, you get a job, or whatever, they are somehow mentally ill. But if we go back to one of the world's major religions, we'll see the example of the Buddha, who left his family in order to go on his own spiritual journey, spiritual awakening. But we have to contrast that the situation that so-called adults, I don't know, I'm 36, I don't know if I'm an adult. We have this situation where if an adult is going through some process of growth, the adult cannot simply walk away from whatever bullshit in order to pursue deeper meaning. The adult needs to continue on. You have to wake up, you have to go to work, you have to get money, blah, 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 blah. But what's really crazy about this situation is that the 40-hour work week is now obsolete due to technology. In fact, we have economic problems due to technological unemployment. We don't need all the jobs anymore. But instead of reworking our socioeconomic system, you just hear all this bullshit about fake economic discourse on TV, and no one's really addressing the real problem. So we have an issue where the labor is bullshit. The labor is not really necessary. If you look at the work that most people do, there is no empirical reference to it. They could just, everyone, like most people could just stop doing their job. And in terms of the physical world, there'll be no repercussions tomorrow, like insurance, advertising, all that's a bullshit. But we have to go through this very stressful situation in order to make money. And if you're going through an emotional crisis where it's hard to do that at the moment, then suddenly you are broken and you need to be fixed. However, often emotional crises means that the old system, the old way of thinking, the old way of operating is no longer working, and someone has to go through the crisis to make a evolutionary step to another level. But we're living in a world where it's okay if someone does that as long as they are able to continue to conform to the economic system. We also have the massive stress of the economic system. You have to do good in school, you have to get this job, you need to perform, you need to compete. The whole notion of capitalism is that everyone is competing against everyone else in order to get this fiction called money. But the overwhelming stress that this has on many people creates mental illness, create anxiety, create depression, and so forth. So capitalism really is the driving force behind so much emotional anguish. And it would be one thing if we were like medieval serfs and back then we needed to put through all that labor, but we're not. We have the technology so the labor isn't even needed. But actually, if we were medieval serfs, while that labor would have to be done, you wouldn't wake up in the morning worried about, I need to get the job farming in the village, because the work needed to be done, so you knew what you had to do. You could do it. Nothing was going to get in your way. But because we have technological unemployment, people wake up and like, I need to keep the job. I need to get the job. I need to compete. So we have this society of pointless competition. So it's not so much that people have to work exactly, but it's the stress induced by the work. Whereas if we were living in a harmonious society where people cared for each other and where we had a society that took care of objective human needs, you could have people doing the labor without the overwhelming stress that we get from labor in our society. Also, children, it's the same thing where they have to conform to the school system, but people don't like to ask the question if the school system is sane. It's completely insane. And we tell children as a society to do things every day that no adult would willingly put themselves through. Okay, that's it. Bye.